This is the Amp Hour Podcast, recorded October 10th, 2011. Episode 64, Maundering, Memristor, Mathematicaster.
Welcome to the Amp Hour. I'm Dave Jones from the EEVblog.
And I'm Chris Gamble from Chris Gamble's Analog Life.
Episode number 64.
6-4.
Wow.
That's power of 2.
You
were much more excited about this one than I had.
digit.
Yeah.
We've flipped over to 9 digits.
Yeah.
8 digits cannot contain the Amp Hour.
Yeah.
Oh, boy. Very exciting stuff. I'm sorry.
I guess so. It didn't get me like it got you. I don't know why you were. I'm more of a power 10 kind of guy. I gotta say. It's.
Well, yeah. All that analog rubbish, right?
Yeah. I like decades.
Right. Because you've got 10 fingers and 10 toes and all that sort of stuff, you know.
Right. And sometimes we go wonky and we'll throw in a 20 in there because of
right
the decibel people. But
right. No, I prefer binary, either sticking the finger up, middle finger up, or not. So it's either 0 or 1.
There you go.
Sticking it to the man.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you're all about that, huh, Dave?
Absolutely. Why not? I think every engineer is. Isn't it in our trait to sort of stick it to the man? Tell it like it is?
I guess. I'm not a very stick-it-to-the-man kind of guy myself.
No, you're not. You're a bit of a wuss, yeah.
Yeah.
We all know this.
I'm not an Occupy Wall Street so much as an Occupy my basement.
Right, and just let sleeping dogs lie, huh? Instead of poking them with a stick. Yeah. All right. Fair enough.
It's sad. It's true.
All right. So it's no big deal, huh? Episode 64.
Not as much to me.
But it won't come around again until 128.
Yeah. Sorry if I've been a little out of. I've been checking your math here, Dave. I don't think your bit count's right.
Why?
Is it 9 bits? I don't think it's 9 bits.
Well, from 0 to 63 is, but because we didn't have the 0, you know, I'm counting the 0 in there.
1, 2, 4.
Yes, there
8,
are 64.
16, 32, 64. Yeah, that's the 8th bit.
With 8 bits, you can represent.
No, that's the 7th bit.
Oh, sorry, What was I talking about?
That's the 7th bit. There we go. Okay,
Oh,
so
man.
we're good now. Hey,
right.
analog guy here. It didn't sound right, and I got all thrown off, and now I had it. Yeah.
Well, that's
8th
embarrassing.
Bit, 7th bit. That's okay. It's okay to make mistakes, people. I'm okay with this.
Yep.
Are you okay with this?
What?
We caught it. It didn't ship, right?
Right. Okay, we can post edit, can we?
No,
What the hell came over
the product
me?
didn't ship. The episode's going out like this. This is pure gold. This is Chris
Right.
points back to this and says, "Hey, Dave, remember that 9th bit?"
Where the hell did that come from?
I don't know.
Man,
Who cares? That's fine.
It must be too early in the morning.
Oh yeah, that's the real problem.
I didn't even think about it. I just popped it, like it wasn't even on the list, and then I thought, oh, what can I add to the intro? Hey, 64, shit. And, I don't know.
120. You think we'll make it to 128 with these kind of Chris corrections? Me being a big butthole about correcting you? I don't know, man.
I don't know. I think we should start again.
No, you're fine. People will love this. Believe me.
Man.
They'll love it.
That's just, forehead slap. Hang on. Oh!
That's good radio.
Yeah, it is.
So what's going
Ouch.
on? We have an update from last week. I mean, 64th episode, that's good, but you had some bad news from last week, huh?
Yeah, like I bragged that I was, hours away from
I think we cursed it.
I know. I was supposed to be hours away from signing putting down the deposit for my new place, and then it would have been mine, my new EEVblog nerd cave /lab, and no, it fell through. Instead of putting down the deposit, apparently this douchebag emailed, I'm going to call him out, emailed the agent who we were going through and said, sorry, changed my mind, don't want to sell it anymore. Tough tits.
I can't believe you're allowed to even do that, you know? you'd think at a certain point in a contract, it'd be like,
well,
there's
there was
gotta be-
nothing signed, so you don't, there's no legal basis whatsoever. There's no
Yeah.
legal recourse at all. So,
and even
anyway.
if there was, then you'd have to get a lawyer involved and yada yada yada. That sucks.
No, it's just, it doesn't happen. So, yeah, he's just a
That's crappy
douchebag.
news.
End of story.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Sorry, man.
I know. Yeah, so much for keeping your word these days.
Yeah.
It's hopeless.
Oh. So what's in the plans for the future? You still looking?
Yeah, it's still looking, but there's nothing out there at the moment. So, well, we had one other choice, but it was too far away. I did, I actually rode my bike there and did a test ride, but it's like, it was at least a 15-minute ride each way, and by the time you get your cycling clothes on and you get there, and it's the middle of summer, and you've got to have
you're
a
sweating like
shower because you're
crazy.
just
Yeah.
sweating like a pig, and And as far as driving there, it's like the worst street within 30 kilometres. It is awful. Like, you just do not go during peak hour. It's, So there'd be like 4 hours a day that I wouldn't be able to drive there,
Oof,
even if I wanted to.
Yeah.
It'd be,
No.
So I had to turn that one down. It was really nice. I had views over the mountains, over the Blue Mountains. And, pretty schmick. Actually, the hard part is that when you've got those nice, floor-to-ceiling windows in your office, you feel like as though you shouldn't put anything there, like you shouldn't put benches along there, or you shouldn't do anything because you've got these lovely floor-to-ceiling windows. So why would you, like pile stuff up in front of it? So then you instantly lose, a whole wall.
That's a good thing or a bad thing?
It's a bad thing that you actually lose space.
So you need to get a basement space like me and be a troll.
A troll. Well, that's the one I was going to get. It was literally down on the bottom floor, and you had to walk down the stairs, and you turn around the corner, and you're down in the dungeon.
There you go. Yeah. Turn the lights off.
Oh boy. Anyway.
Do you work in the dark? I know it's people that work in the dark, and I don't get that.
No, I don't get it either.
Some people they like real low like lighting overhead. They'll just have like a desk lamp or something like that. Ugh, it makes me want to fall asleep.
I do if I'm reading at night. If I'm reading my Kindle at night, I actually deliberately put flat batteries in my little reading light so it is dim. Otherwise it's too bright.
Oh, right. So I get that. I'm just saying that, I know some people at companies I've worked at where they prefer like a really dark sitting situation so that I don't know why, like if they get migraines or something, but then they need this really bright light so they can actually see the components on their board when they're doing soldering or just trying to
Well, that's why you want to have
something.
one of those magnified headlamps with the lights on it,
Yeah, but if that's your only light, that sucks. I don't know.
I know. I know people like that. The first thing they do when they move into a new Dilbert cubicle is they stand on the chair, they get up, and they take, they take a bulb out or a tube out of the lights above them, So
That's
they,
crazy.
it's at least half, or they take both out and they rely on, because usually they're a dual tube thing. I don't know what it's like in the US, but in offices
it's
they're
similar,
usually a dual tube.
Not me. I don't do that. I
thing.
want a fluorescent suntan. I want it to be so bright.
Right. To bounce off that pasty white skin. Huh?
That's right. I need a tan, man.
That nerdy skin.
I want to glow green. That's how bad I want it, because of the fluorescent, the hue that's on it. Oh yeah, that's what I need,
I'm still thinking about the 64 bits. The 64.
Don't worry about it, man.
You goofed it again. 64 episodes.
You'll be fine. You're fine.
I'm
fine.
devastated. It is just...
I know, all this build-up, all these weeks, huh?
Well, I didn't even think about this morning. We were going through the show notes before this, and it wasn't even on here that this was episode 64. We mentioned it at the end of last week to each other. We said, oh yeah, next week's 64. And yeah.
I knew.
I just popped in there, blurred it out, and for some reason,
career-ending move right there, Dave. You'll never work in radio. You'll never work in radio again.
Right.
Yeah, right.
Speaking of new offices and taking out fluoro lights and all that sort of jazz, The Altium, while I was looking for offices to move into, up popped on the real estate website the former Altium Sydney headquarters where I used to work, and there it is.
You just roller skate around there, you'd have enough room. I mean, you'd take the bike inside, right?
Exactly. It's a pretty darn big building. It was actually purpose built for Altium. It was purpose built to our specs, and so I've mentioned before, each Dilbert cubicle has got like 4 1 gigabit Ethernet cables going to it. I don't know why.
That's crazy.
But that's and you can see photos of it. You can
for the Internet of Things,
link for the Internet of Things.
You need to be able to hook up everything, right?
Yeah, I'm not sure if they'd gone on their Internet of Things fad when we built the building. Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know, but yeah, I'm not sure what fad they were in at the time. Anyway, they change fads every 6 months. Yeah, but let's not go there. Anyway, you can see the abandoned office, and you can see there's a couple of people still working in there. It's like, and you can see the canteen, which has been deserted. There's no more free food, and
sad.
It's all gone. And you can see where I used to work. Yeah, the back corner.
Should be a historical landmark, right?
Right. Yeah. Did some of my best work there. Not.
Yeah.
Oh boy. Anyway, and I just thought it was funny, and then somebody commented on was it Twitter or YouTube or somewhere? Anyway, no, the forum. God, got so many avenues,
so many places to yell at Dave.
Absolutely. On the forum, somebody, sorry, I forgot your name, and excellent idea. Why don't they turn the abandoned Altium headquarters into the world, into a hackerspace? It'd be the world's biggest and coolest hackerspace. It'd be awesome.
The biggest tax bill.
Right. And I don't care about the practicality of it. It's just a cool idea.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. It's just awesome.
Yeah.
It's sitting there doing nothing. And it's a shame. There must be how many thousands of companies like this with space that's just, not being used anymore because of the downturn in the economy and all that sort of stuff. They might have to turn the lights out in half the building or something like that. There must be plenty of companies like that who have all this space available. And, here, the Melbourne hackerspace I went to, they've been trying for 2 years to find a space. There's just got to be...
It's expensive though, like all that. I mean, the practical side, right? The Buzzkill Chris coming out is like, well, you got to heat it, you got to cool it, you got to power it, all that other junk, and got to maintain it.
Yeah, but
all those things aside, I completely agree with you.
Yeah, right. Okay, all that practical shit aside, and the liability and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, I've been in a hackerspace that was like not heated in the winter because they couldn't afford it, and that was not fun.
Right.
So if I want to be shivering cold, I'll sit in my basement in the winter.
Okay. It kind of reminds me of gyms. It's a bit off topic, but it's something I'm into, And I used to go to this gym, which had a hot tin roof, It was a tin. It was an upper floor, but it didn't have aircon. It had a couple of fans to circulate the heat.
Yeah, that always helps.
In the middle of winter. So, I'd go there 7 o'clock on a Sunday morning, and I'd do a class in the middle of winter, and you're freezing your ass off. Right, yeah. And then in the middle of summer, it'd be 40 plus degrees, and here you are doing a cardio class, and I'd lose 2 kilos of sweat in 1 hour.
Yeah,
2
exactly.
kilos. It's like, wow.
I have no idea what that is.
Right. The times 2.2 for pounds. So there you go. What is it?
About 10 pounds.
Right. Okay.
No, 5 pounds.
2.2. 2 times 2.2. So
yeah, so 5 pounds. My bad.
Yeah.
See, there's my math mistake for today, Dave.
There you go. In an hour,
you feel better
if
now?
You work hard
you feel
enough.
Better?
Oh, boy. Anyway, I think it's a brilliant idea. Why can't we turn these unused technology office spaces into mass hacker labs? Maybe we should just do an Occupy kind of thing. We should just walk in there and occupy something.
Oh, that's a great idea, yeah.
It's brilliant. Why not?
If they can't afford electricity, they probably can't afford security guards.
Yeah,
so.
They can't afford security guards or legal fees to prosecute. Let's just go occupy the building,
Yeah.
Why not? I love it.
That's good, man. I like it. I like it.
Well, they're doing that in the US, aren't they? With all these foreclosures, there's, people, they actually go in, they occupy houses. They go back and they take, we reclaim this house in the name of the community, and they actually, and they're actually winning. They are able to do that, apparently. So...
I had not heard about that.
No,
I'm gonna go steal my neighbor's house. There we go.
Awesome.
All right.
All right. What else have we got?
Well, we got a couple shout-outs this week. Speaking of labs, I saw a thing on EDN. Did you see this?
Yeah, this is good.
Yeah, they. So Jim Williams passed away. We talked about that on the show. But Paul Rako, he knew Jim and he knew Bob Peace, and he writes for EDN, and. Basically, though, they're just taking the whole Jim's entire bench piecemeal over to the Computer History Museum. So there's a picture of it on the website too. It's brilliant.
Yeah.
And he just basically I don't know. I think I didn't catch the exact syntax of it, but I thought it said that Jim actually donated and. It was already wrapped, like he already did all the wrapping. So basically, he had just components all over his bench, and we'll link in this story so you can check it out.
Yep.
The original picture, but he would just have tons of components on his bench, and he would, it's just a junk pile basically. He'd go over and he'd pick something out when he needs it, and
he'd send photos.
Yeah, he's probably got $10,000 in chips on his bench, right? But he would just go and pick it out, and when he didn't need stuff, he'd throw it down. And then so. In moving this, they just shrunk wrapped the entire thing, and then they moved it all. It was amazing.
Yeah. Because apparently that's how he moved his bench once. It's not the first time he's actually moved his bench.
Oh, and that's what I got wrong.
So this is how he did it last. Like they asked somebody, how did he move his bench last time? And they went, well, he just got out the shrink wrap and shrink wrapped the whole thing with components, with the project he was still working on, all on the bench, and they just carried it. So they thought, that's how we can move it. Because they were scratching their head, apparently, how the hell can we move Jim Williams' bench to the Computer History Museum? You can't. It's got 10,000 components sitting on it.
Yeah. All right, so here's my idea. I have an auxiliary idea. I like what they're doing. I think it definitely belongs in the Computer History Museum. Here's what I say, though. I say shellac the whole thing, right, so the components are actually glued down, right? And then what you do is you turn it into a wishing well, and people can bring their busted up components and they can flip it onto there and make a wish, right? There would be like the velvet ropes around it, and then you flip a component and then it lands on there, you make a wish, and then, they can sweep off the components once a day or whenever they need to, and then it still looks like it's supposed to look, right? Because some butthole would probably end up like throwing a transformer or something like that on there. and then, it's like a wishing well. It's a nice piece of lore. Right? You just flip your busted up resistors.
That is a brilliant idea. That is good.
So, if anyone knows the Computer History Museum people, tell them my idea. I don't charge royalties. They are welcome to have it. I gotta say, it's. I want to go there. I want to pay my tributes to Jim Williams by flipping on a couple burned up transistors directly onto there.
That's great.
The most charred ones I can get. Yeah. So I thought that was great. Well, so I'm glad they're doing that, and I'm glad Paul's covering that story. So.
And apparently it's part of an exhibit honouring engineers at work, it's called. They're building an engineers at work exhibit. Yeah. So, it's going to open on October 15th. What's the date today? There you go. It's the 11th here. There you go.
Yeah.
All right, over there. Yep. There you go. So it's opening this week.
Yeah. Brilliant. That's awesome. Yeah,
go
so
see it. If you haven't been to the Computer History Museum, I've been there. It is really, really good. So,
I did not get a chance to get over there when I was out in the valley.
Man, you missed a really cool thing. So I
was kind of busy, gotta say.
Right. Anyway. Yeah, I walked all the way from somewhere. I walked like an hour to get there.
From somewhere, huh? Did you walk from
somewhere? I don't know.
Australia?
Yeah, I just
somewhere
swam
in
as
Silicon
well.
Valley. Yeah.
Well.
Yeah, that's good.
Great.
Another shout out. Is on the media side of things. I don't know if you've been watching the EEWeb, how they do interviews. Speaking of engineers of today.
I've been on there. Yep.
Have you? I didn't see yours on there.
Yeah, I thought way back.
Maybe they've already flipped pages. I saw mine, and then I was going to link mine in because I'm...
No, I'm there somewhere.
Yeah.
Yep.
Huh. Did they get rid of you?
We've talked about it before.
That's what I thought. Oh, there you are.
Yeah.
Oh, they spelled David. That's why. Okay.
Ah,
yeah, so
right,
Dave's on there. I'm on there. Jerry's on. There's a bunch of people on there. Lamore's on there.
They got a lot of people now. What is there? What, 50 or 100?
50 at least, yeah. And you know, and they seem to keep getting better. I think people kind of go back and look at the other ones, and either that or they're getting more interesting people. But yeah, I'm really enjoying these a lot, and I think it's a great idea. I mean, so it's a great way to kind of informally meet people, and I highly encourage people to go through and just see what people write about. It's interesting seeing topics and trends through it. You know, like they always ask favorite book, and it's like, oh, okay, Art of Electronics, of course.
Yeah,
and,
everyone.
You know, like
that's right.
But then there's a couple others in there, and I saw one that I really liked. Oh, I'm not gonna be able to find it now, but it's a audio power amplifier book. And it's just really good as a discrete amplifier book. You know, like that's one that I have at work. And, you know, you kind of just see verification of other. It's like, oh, okay, I'm not like totally off my base, you know, using this book that it's wrong. You know, it's nice to see that kind of thing, you know. And yeah. So lots of fun. I like it a lot, and I hope they keep doing it. So
well, I'm supposed to be in their Pulse magazine too. They've got this mag. It's called Pulse, and it's really quite good. It's got some great articles and stuff in there. Yeah, I was supposed to be in it. This was like months ago, and they sent me the proof of it. You know, and I was, it featured my new project I'm working on, my scientific calculator watch, Mark II, was in there, and I haven't seen it yet. So, I don't know, I think they do a lot of this stuff well ahead of time, and then they just schedule them out. So
yeah, it's more like it's like somewhere between an online and a traditional publishing magazine.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
it's
but
tough
they're doing a hell of a lot of work there. So well done.
Yeah, keep it up, guys. It's great.
It's the only engineering portal, you know, in the quote marks, portal website I find any good at all. All the others are shit, you know, like Element 14 and Design Spark and all the other magazines try and be, you know, these portals, and they all suck. This is the only one I find that's actually I would want to go back to.
Yeah, like the format and everything.
And the format, and they've got great, you know, they've got good technical articles and stuff.
Yeah, I think it kind of suits what you and I like. It's kind of WordPress-like, and, you know, it's standard like that. So I agree. I think it's definitely, well. It suits me the best. I like it the best. So
and they put a lot of work into actually getting good content on there. So yeah, I like it.
Oh, cool. Keep it up, EEWeb.
We are
like
hiring. Are they hiring? Are they?
I don't know.
Yes, and yes, it looks like they are.
There you go, Dave. Get yourself a real job, hippie.
Oh, boy. Anyway.
Yeah, right. This is actually a story from a couple weeks ago, but there's sticking it in the media side of things. There's Sesame Street, actually.
Let's go to Sesame Street.
Why not, right? They're encouraging engineering on there, though. It's great. I mean, there's a video, and it was actually suggested to us by Chris Felton. But great use of a kids platform to kind of promote engineering and stuff. So I'm all about it. I think it's great, and we'll post a link to that too. It's a lot of fun. Cool.
Sesame Street, love it.
Yeah.
Groucho was my... Yeah, we got... I think Groucho was my favourite.
Groucho?
Yeah, he the one in the trash can?
Oh, yeah. Oscar the Grouch.
Oscar the Grouch, yeah, right. Yeah, not Groucho. Yeah. Sorry. Apology to all Groucho Marx fans, you know.
I'm sure his eyebrows are based off Groucho Marx.
Right, okay. Yes. Brilliant stuff. Yeah, anything that gets kids involved is fine by me.
Yeah. I mean, we're seeing
unless it involves Justin Bieber, and then, well, no.
Then
it's a fail instantly.
Definitely not. Mm. And speaking of electronics for kids, there was actually another open source hardware company that the fourth one got funding this week. I don't know if you saw that, Dave.
It did. I saw it. And Aya, is that a name? How do you pronounce the name?
I believe it's Aya. I think that's how you say it.
Aya. Yeah. And it's a girl, by the way. Everyone out there, it's a girl, which is cool.
Okay.
Well, no, it's just that it's not, that usual in the industry, so it's cool.
Fill in your bingo spots, folks. We have Dave going back into girls and engineering.
There you go. Why? You don't like it?
No, I think it's great. I just don't think it's out of the ordinary these days. I mean, I think she's very talented.
It's getting less out of the ordinary, I've got to admit. Yep.
Right. It's not like, whoa! It's like, oh, great work. Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
So anyways, yeah, she got funding though, and it doesn't say how much. We'll link directly to her website, but
I get the suspicion that it's not much at all.
Well, we don't know that, but
well, yeah, like it's not $10 million that they just gave to MakerBot. I don't think it's that level. I think it's not even close to that. I'd be even surprised if it was seven figures, because yeah.
Maybe. I don't know.
Because it's a neat little concept. They've got these little building blocks which snap together with magnets, and they form little educational circuits. Yeah. And it's cool. There's a few different concepts out there that do a similar sort of thing, but this one uses magnets or something. I'm not sure of the exact mechanism, but
and they're
magnets
color coded too for hooking up as well.
Yep, color coded and all that sort of stuff, which is neat. Yeah, and it's excellent that they got funding, but I don't know.
You don't know? What don't you know about, Dave?
I'm just, like, this is the fourth open source hardware company that's got, in some way, some sort of venture capital funding, right? And this is probably, by far the smallest of the lot, I think, in terms of scale and probably in terms of money as well, and in terms of potential market, for this thing. It's very niche, and it's not, it's not going to be $100 million company, for example. It's not $100 million worth of business in little educational. We should compare
against the other ones too. So that's Chumby is one. That's
Chumby has big potential, right? Because it's an internet appliance, right? That people can have in their home. There's a massive market for that sort of thing. And of course the MakerBot as well, which has a potential massive market, So,
and can Dave name number 3? I don't know if he can.
Would be Bug Labs.
Yeah, that's right, Bug Labs. We just signed a deal with Ford and a couple other people, and Verizon, I think. So, so they're definitely already kind of big into the game too. So,
So, they're all big potential. This is it's a cool concept, but it's much more niche. So, and I've got a question: why would you take funding if you've bootstrapped yourself, which is the way all these companies work, right? All these startup, garage companies, open source hardware companies start. Then you're already, it's likely that you're not in debt. You don't need the money. Like, why would you take investment from someone?
Well, maybe. I mean, maybe if you need a production run, though. I mean, I think that there's if it's a smaller run thing, if it is a smaller company too, I think that there's, if you needed to get a big production run to get some economies of scale, then you can justify taking. I think there's justification to taking money.
But you usually don't need to in these niche sort of applications. People will pay a premium because they know it's sort of niche. So
maybe, I don't know. If this is playing in the educational space, it just might not be there.
The more money you make, the more it's a bootstrapping thing. You make this money that you can then invest in. You can then invest yourself in the future of the business. So in high volume manufacturing stuff, and it doesn't take that long to make, $50,000 out of something, and then you can put that into tooling for some sort of thing. It's a.
Well, I can't claim to know. I don't know. I don't know.
I don't know the specific details. I'm more talking in general now. So.
Right. Okay. So even if it was a larger enterprise, right? If it was a 50-person company to start with, right? That had bootstrapped. That's what you're really asking about. Why then? And there's actually there's a link with Breathe that.
Well, no, I'm talking about these 1 or 2 people companies.
Oh, those. Well, I don't know. Maybe
why wouldn't you just continue to bootstrap yourself and own everything? I don't know why you would take. I guess it depends on the money, right? If somebody comes along and says, "Here's $1 million," but
the terms too. I think the terms are another big thing, right?
Well, the terms are that we basically pretty much own your company, and if you don't produce, we screw you. That's pretty much the term
that's
for
venture
any
capital. That's different than angel capital. This seems like it's very angel specific, right? Because she calls out specific people.
What's the difference?
Angel investing is usually with a very low likelihood of getting the money back.
But they still want their money back, and they still will own your company, right? Or the majority of it. I don't really see the distinction. I think they're pretty much the same thing. You know, they're both wolves in different clothing, really.
I'm trying to find the specific difference here, but
right,
that might take a while.
Yeah, I don't think there is. When people give you money, they give you money because they expect a return on that money, or the likelihood of a return. And if it looks like they're not going to get that return, well, that's when things turn, nasty.
I guess so.
Oh. I can't see anyone coming along. Oh, you failed. Oh, okay, I don't care. Do whatever you want. I didn't really put the money in there for,
No, I don't think that's true, though, because we've even talked about on here before that the guy that was the creator of Gmail, he was an investor, and he talked about how many things he invested in that he didn't expect any kind of return out of just because it was a high-risk situation. Right,
so he effectively just bought... shares in that company or something, or he bought a stake in that company but didn't want to have any say in how it was run or anything like that. Maybe.
I think he wanted to advise them, but yeah.
Well, if you're an angel investor or if you're a one of these investment mobs, I guess it depends on how much you invest, right? If you don't get a controlling interest, you don't get a say. I guess that's what it comes down to, right?
Yeah, I could see that, yeah.
Yeah, right. So, anyway, I don't know. It
so
seems
what are you really
to be a trend,
trying to ask you? You're just asking about why people would take money.
Why people take the money and why they don't just continue to do it themselves. I
don't know. I think that's more of a one-off question. I think in certain situations, I think you have to look at the bigger situations. Like I think there's significant costs that when you scale up that you have to take on. And, Phil Terone did an interview with Bree about that, and basically it's like an inventory thing. Inventory is damn expensive. Yep. Building out your employees is expensive. Real estate's expensive. There's just a lot of really big costs that sometimes you can't take on without either a loan, and if you can't get a loan, then where you're going to go? You have to go to some kind of funding source, and they're going to maybe take a bite out of your ass for borrowing that, for using that money. But it's a calculated risk, right? So,
yep.
I had a bigger question about that whole thing though. I asked it on the open hardware list, and I really didn't get any responses. I mean, I got a response from Bree on their situation, at least in a roundabout way. It was basically, if you're an open source hardware company, does it get written into the contract? Is it like, okay, we are only going to be an open source hardware company, or is it like, well, when it's convenient, it's going to be, we do what we need to? Now, the realist in me says it's going to be the second one.
Of course it is.
If the business conditions change, then yeah. But it was just interesting to me. Bree's response was, well, we're dedicated to being an open source hardware company, and I think that's kind of a de facto response, and I understand that.
That is a de facto response.
He's not going to say. That
is not the legal response. That is not the legal response of the contract they've got with them, I'm sure.
No, it's do whatever we need to make money, which is understandable. It's a business, right?
Yep.
At a certain point, it transfers from... In open source hardware, I think, is a viable business model. I'm not sure how scalable it is. I don't know if a $1 billion company could, but I think it is very viable, at least in the stages that those three companies are, and hopefully, Aya does as well. But yeah, it's interesting to me. It'll be interesting as they get bigger and bigger too. And as even we've talked about Adafruit and SparkFun and those other ones, that as they get bigger, their dedication to open source as well. I mean, I don't question it. It's just how it's going to play out. That's the main thing.
Well, I've already made a guess at that in my my video I did on the MakerBot funding thing, and
right,
I predicted
we're on the hobby horse or whatever, or the swingy horse
several
thingy.
years they will simply not be able, they will stop selling kits. That I reckon that's almost a given. They will eventually stop selling kits, and once you stop selling kits, there's no point making it open hardware really, because it's going to require advanced custom parts, and nobody's going to be able to build it themselves anymore or modify it or something like that. So they'll just, they might call it open hardware because, technically the plans for various things might be out there, but nobody's going to build upon it because it'll just be so complex that,
Oh, you're saying from a complexity standpoint, not a
complexity
business
standpoint. Once you get to a certain complexity, it's, you could almost argue that it's almost pointless being open source hardware because people are only going to use the build-up product. But it's good from the fact that it's in terms of like this software and the interfaces are open so that you can build, you can talk to it with different software products or add-ons or something like that perhaps. But yeah, it's but in terms of the physical hardware build itself, it's just no point being open hardware anymore, I don't think. So anyway, I predict that they'll stop selling kits for starters and and if it goes mainstream, well, nobody will care. Like if you've got regular engineers buying this thing or even regular consumers, which I'm sure is one of their ultimate goals, is to get, is to make this a consumer item that people have in their home, right? People will go, open hardware? I don't care. It's just a thing which doesn't matter in the consumer industry, really. Right. So, there's no selling advantage to that as far as the consumer is concerned. And you could argue even technical consumers, a lot won't care. They just care, I want to buy something that works. End of story,
Yeah.
Anyway, it's a complex, messy, muddy business and very case-specific.
I agree.
I don't know. Have we talked enough about open hardware?
I think so, yeah.
We weren't supposed to, right? Because we're trying to wean ourselves off.
It's intriguing to me. I don't know. It keeps coming up. I think it's in the stuff that I read, and I think that's in the stuff that you read.
Yeah.
And so it's in the forefront of my mind. I mean, it's
right.
I'm very intrigued by. I'm sorry if people out there aren't interested in it. But I think it's a significant upcoming force in electronics today. If like it or not, I think maybe not the highest end electronics, but I think it's a growing force, and it's something to talk about. So,
yeah. It's good in that if it just leads to all products, especially consumer products, being more open, not necessarily in terms of here's the Gerber files and the CAD files for your latest mobile phone, right? Yeah. But just in terms of just the software interface, so that you can talk to the thing or do something simple like that, so that you can hack it. So that's a good
open
thing.
Yeah, open ecosystems are good for that kind of development.
Yeah.
But
it's just open product because open hardware. There's the concept of we're going to talk about it.
No. Yeah,
I know. I got to stop myself. I'll physically pull myself away with a hook. Yeah.
Bad Dave.
All right, I'll stop now. I was going to go off on another tangent, but
yeah.
Okay, please find another topic.
Okay, how about the other direction? Let's go really big. Let's go not so small and open source. How about really big and unbelievably massive and hard to fathom? So
surprise me.
David Manners is a guy that writes for Electronics Weekly, and he's basically talking about the fab side of things. Like how is all this stuff possible?
We got chip fabs again. Bingo.
Oh, sorry.
You know where it's going to lead.
I'm not going to get to that.
All right.
But basically he's saying that the leading edge side of things, like being the first to, God, they're running out of nanometers, right? But the first to 10 nanometers, right? Once you get there, that because it's so difficult to get there now, the chip companies will have an advantage for many, many years. So, maybe I'll get there. So basically it'll be harder to get certain types of chips. The biggest stuff will be made by the biggest vendors. Samsung will make all your memory, Intel will make all your processors, Microchip will make all your microcontrollers or
Isn't that currently how it works?
Well, yeah, but what about, if there's any kind of new entrance to the market, it means get used to your brands and make friends with your FAEs, I guess, right? Because they're not going to go away. Because there's not any other options, right? To the point where there's not even they talk about fabless models and how, all these companies coming up in China and India, and it's, well, no, that's not going to happen either because there'll be no fabless capacity. There won't be enough because the Samsungs and I guess Intel and Samsung have their own fabs, but the microchips of the world or other people who don't have their own fabs and use...
They have their own fabs.
Oh, they do too? Okay, so
yep.
Other foundryless model, other people without foundries, names, right? Yes. Or without fabs.
Fabless companies, yeah.
The fabless companies basically will be buying up capacity so soon in these foundries that no one will be able to get in because they'll be buying it based on future projections. So I don't know. I thought it was a really interesting idea. Like the fact that people are going to get, the chip companies are going to get locked out because it'll be so hard to, like they'll plan it so much because the stuff's so expensive in the first place, all this equipment and the build out and everything. So that's the other, I guess that's the other side of things. I don't know.
So the heading of it is no more cheap wafers.
Right. And because of that, yeah. Because, once you have control of a node, if you're to 10 nanometers first, right? If Intel gets to 10 nanometers first and it takes them $10 billion to build a new fab like they're doing in New York, or $5 billion in that case, and they make this 10 nanometer chip and no one can touch them for 3 years, right? They're going to charge you $400 for that chip and there's nothing you can do about it, right?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, so then the economics might play towards something else, which I won't mention. I won't mention it here. Maybe I'll mention it offline somewhere, but yeah.
10 nanometers at home, folks. Chris says it's possible.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Well, if you have chips, then what else could you do? You could do a contest, right, Dave? It's a horrible segue.
Well, you could.
That was a horrible segue. It was just disastrous. Yeah, TI's having a contest. You want to talk about
this? Another contest, TI. What, you've got to use 3 TI analog ICs?
Yes. There was
2 analog ICs and a processor.
Right, yeah.
Right.
And it's for a senior project only. I was kind of disappointed they did this.
Hang on. It's an analog design contest, right?
Yeah.
Yet you're allowed to use a TI processor. What? Yeah. Come on.
Yeah.
Give me a break.
Yeah, I mean, the realist, this isn't even a realist anymore. This is a pessimist in me. The pessimist in me says this is all just a huge ploy for recruiting because they say it's only college seniors, it's only for senior project, and you have to be at an ABET accredited university, right?
Right, yeah.
And it's like, if they really wanted to do a design contest, they'd open it up to anyone.
They're ticking all the boxes for the fun, sucking, graduates through the funnel.
Right, and so, yeah, that's...
Yeah,
that's the pessimist in me, but
still, and they're linked to all these other universities on the page.
Oh, they do. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, look, go down the right-hand side there.
Yeah, I know there's certain schools too, like I think UT Dallas. Yeah, UT Dallas has like a really good switching program. I've talked to people about that. They have a lot of like switch mode power supply. Chip designers come out of there.
Okay.
And like the guy that wrote the textbook on it and consults for TI a lot, he works there. So I'm sure a lot of these schools are very built in. Like RIT, Rochester Institute of Technology. I grew up an hour away from there. They have a micro lab. They have their own fab on campus, and like it's like not just a research lab. It's like you can go work on chips as like a job there, I think.
Yep.
And so it's like that.
Okay. Yeah, and they're tied in with these universities, and if you're in a course at one of these universities, then your group gets $200 worth of free modules or something for the TI store. And come on.
Yeah, so it's recruiting, but still, if you are there or you are a student and you want to show up some other people, that's good. I mean, it's whatever. It's still money into the contest space. That's fun.
Right. Well,
I don't know.
Yeah. Don't give them any more promotion, right?
Yeah.
All right. You've got a thing you want to talk about what is the tipping point, or where is the tipping point when you want to revise a product that you've already got in production.
I mean, have you worked on released kind of products before, Dave?
Yes, I have.
So, I mean, when do you usually decide, let's start looking at this again? I mean, is it mostly just when you're told to?
I usually don't get to decide it.
Yeah, I was going to say, I usually don't
It's usually a factor that forces your hand. Generally speaking, your hand either has to be enforced in, and competitors come out with a competing product that's better, that's and you're losing market share for some reason. That would be a trigger for actually revising a product. Sometimes it would be, we need to make, a new management comes in, we need to make more profit margin or something like that. So we
like
need
cost
to
savings and
slash 2 cents off the price of this product.
Remove all capacitors.
Immediately. Take off all the capacitors until it stops working and then put the last one back. The old Japanese method of of designing circuits.
Yep.
I
Yeah, I mean, obsolescences are another big one, right? I mean, that's a huge trigger if your vendor says you can't get it anymore. Anyways, the thing that I thought was interesting is when do you actually go back though, and without any of those other factors, or even if you do, even if you have the cost savings one, right? Say you have a product you're only selling 100 of a year, and you have an op amp on there that's $50. It's like, oh, that's ridiculous. That's a $50 op amp. Yep. But then you think about it, and if you do 50% better, you only save what, $2,500 in a year. And if your change takes more than 25 hours, right, in terms of
I know you've just blown out your.
It's unbelievable. So it's like I just thought that was really. I mean, that's the kind of stuff I deal with a lot. For
small volume stuff, exactly. I mean, you know, for like $100,000, you know, if you're making 100,000 of something, you know, you can afford to spend $100,000 in either time and or engineering or anything, right? Or cost in tooling to actually reduce the price of that product by $1.
Right, and that's what like a manufacturing engineer is.
It's a manufacturing engineering, optimization thing.
Yeah, and like big companies have like whole departments devoted to that, and it's interesting that they have that. I mean, I don't think it would be very. I mean, trying to squeeze that last penny out is. I mean, it could make a big difference, right? That could make
You're a component optimization engineer, or you're a production optimization engineer.
Yeah, I mean,
exactly.
I mean, that's the other side
job.
of things too. If you make it faster, right? If you somehow figure out how to make it 10% faster, then you can make 10% more in a year, and
engineer it for lower battery consumption or something, you know, or there's no easy answer to that one. But as you said, it's it basically comes down to time and effort, cost versus your return on that investment. So is it worth it? Well, sometimes you have to. Like if you're losing market share, you don't. If you're about to go out of business, you don't care. You're gonna how much you spend. You're gonna fix that sucker, right? So.
It's also interesting from the point of view, I think, of the actual design side of things. I know guys that design really low volume products, and they have no problem throwing in a $300 FPGA, right? It's just
exactly. It's nothing.
It's faster for me to use the reference design and pay the $300 and pay the $400 for that other shit.
$2,000 FPGA, not a
exactly, right?
No question at all.
Exactly. I mean, it's just something you do, and I think coming out of school, I definitely was like, whoa, I can't believe people pay that, right? But on the other hand, if you look at the actual economics of it, it makes a lot of sense.
It makes no difference.
And that's why the chip manufacturers price it like that too. That's why when you look at those data sheets, you're like, holy crap,
Well, I've worked in the military side of things where sometimes you'll make one of something, a grand total of one. So it doesn't matter how much it costs. Really, there's no optimization to be done there. It's Oh no, cost always matters. If you can, you wouldn't use $1,000 chip if you could use $100 chip, but in the scheme of things, it's not going to matter. If it takes the same amount of time to actually implement both of those, of course you're going to use the cheaper one. But time to market can be, or time to finish your project can be a much bigger driving factor than cost.
Unless you're working for the military. then no one gives a crap.
And no one cares. You're a year late? Congratulations.
Hey, you did a great job.
We'll award you another contract. You're only a year late. Wow. Break out the trumpets and the dancing girls.
Yep. And that's why it's hard to imagine. Like, so there was another news story this week too about India and that $35 tablet. That's the other side of things. I mean, so it's actually a $45 tablet, right? But then India is gonna subsidize it for I think $10 per, and they're gonna sell or buy so however many, and resell them to like rural areas for education, whatever.
Yeah.
But man, $45 for a tablet? Can you? I mean,
well, they might not be making anything on that. They might even be making a loss because it might be a political thing. I've talked about this somewhere before.
They said the $10 is the loss that the government's taking. So it's a $35 tablet, but $10 is from the government paying that. So it's actually a $45 tablet.
So you're saying that the company is not actually who makes it isn't actually making any money. There's no profit margin in it.
I don't know about that. I mean, that's a good question.
It might be a government-owned company or government-sponsored company or something like that. Because this is a very big political it's more politics than it is engineering and market driven. These countries work different to, the Apples of the world and things like that. So who are driven by profit and all the rest of it.
Right.
So,
it's a great idea for teaching, right? I mean, it comes from a good place, I think. I mean, but you're right. I think you're right. It is politics.
Because this made the news about it was probably a year ago or something. I think that they were working on it and they were talking about it, and all the commentary at the time said, well, they can't make it for that price because they don't have their own LCD manufacturing industry there. They don't have their own chip manufacturing industry. They have to buy all these parts from China like everyone else. And China can't make it for that price, so how are India going to make it for that price? It's, it wouldn't surprise me if it costs more than that to make. And they're just bullshitting somewhere.
They're holding it up in the picture here, but there's no delivery yet, right? There's no tablet in the hands of a child in rural India.
Right.
When that happens, that's a different story, but it's a great idea. I think I hope they come through with it, but
their goal was $10.
Yeah, I know, that's ridiculous.
$10 was their goal to get a color screen tablet. Obviously it's touch as well. It's a but come on. There's only certain chips and certain LCDs and certain other things you can use in these devices. You can't just magically create them yourself. As you said, as we talked about before, with the foundries and everything else. You can't just go magically make your own chips for next to nothing.
Right.
I mean, it just doesn't happen.
Right.
As far as I know, India has very little component manufacturing industry.
They're on the fabless side, but I think that's it right now.
Yeah, there might be fabs there, but they might be owned by, companies like TI or somebody else. So I don't know, but if you do know more about that and the ins and outs of the technical, the financial details and how they can build it for that price, or if they really are, let us know.
Yeah, definitely
in the comments. Because there's a whiff of bullshit in the air. I can smell something. It's just sort of floating around there. It's very, it isn't a big mound of turd. It's just a hint, whiff of something
tiny pile
in the
air.
Corner.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. Speaking of potential piles of turd,
right.
We saw another story in the news this week about Memristors and how those are going to start being made between HP and Hynix. HP is the one who actually came up with the technology, and obviously there was a guy in the 70s that...
I thought IBM had a lot of input on Memristor stuff, or am I mistaken?
They might have had it in the beginning, but HP is the one who actually built it, and that's the picture you always see with the 17 lines crossing another, like a ridge, basically.
Yeah. Oh, I've got these EE Time pop-up ads again.
Oh.
It's Texas Instruments, you bastards are paying money to get these full-page pop-up ads. Piss off.
Skip.
Oh, bloody hell.
I couldn't tell you a single ad I've ever seen on there.
No.
Nope, not a single one.
There you go.
Maybe it's supposed to be subliminal.
Don't buy TI parts, folks, because they pay for these bloody annoying pop-up ads.
We're never going to
advertisers, pissed off TI as a sponsor. No, it's not going to happen, is it?
Never, ever. Oh, well. Anyways, so they say by 2013 they're going to have this stuff. And, it's we'll see. I mean, that's kind of what I keep thinking, right? I mean, it's like,
right.
We'll see it when we see it, but man, that's crazy. And they're talking about it moving from starting with Flash, replacing Flash, and then eventually replacing DRAM.
Yeah.
And then eventually replacing SRAM.
Yeah. Sure.
Yeah.
And I've got a bridge to sell you,
Right.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see how much they charge for it when it starts out. I mean, like, I'm not paying more. I mean, like, Flash.
Well, apparently they can charge all they want because they've amassed 500 patents around the Memristor. This is HP.
Yeah, they have, but they haven't amassed the patents around patents. Why did I say patents? they haven't amassed the patents around Flash, and if unless it's cheaper than Flash, no one gives a crap. So that's going to be the thing they argue against. I mean, it's.
Oh no, there's other things not just cheap. It could be power. It could be
it's lower
speed,
power, and the erase. It's supposed to have like infinite erase cycles or writes, right? But we'll see. Now the interesting thing, though, I don't know about you, Dave, is the fact that there's a whole other set of math here. Have you looked at the wiki page at all?
No, I haven't.
Yeah, there's a whole. I mean, so the new Memristor.
Simile.
It's no longer. Okay. It's right next to the other one you clicked on.
Oh, is it? Oh,
yeah.
right. Oh, yeah, there it is, too.
Yeah, so theory. There's basically, V equals IR, that's your resistive linear relationship, right?
Yep.
But now it's it's a resistance dependent on the amount of charge that is passed between the two terminals, and that amounts to a memory because there's a time-based component there. So now it's V equals I times M of Q, right? M of Q being the
yep.
The M of the memristoriness sort of.
Memristoriness.
Yeah, there's actually a term for
it. It actually relates. That's what M stands for. It's the memristor of the resistor.
Oh, the memristance. That's it. Yeah, the memristance or something like that.
Yeah,
and it's dependent on charge Q, and it's like the crazy thing about that. I don't know if this will ever push into a discrete, if you'll ever be able to get like a leaded resistor or even a SMT type resistor, right? Or if you even want that, because then it'd be a single cell of memory. But I mean, I guess you could use it for like a flip flop or something like that, right? I mean, if you could store a state in there,
right?
But
well, that's the whole idea between them building chips with it, and competing with Flash and everything like that. So
yeah, but the thing is, like,
this is memory.
This is a whole new set of math. This is like keeping up on. This is like the incarnate example of why you should keep up on the industry. Like there is a whole new set of math here that granted, if it's like in the feedback of a op amp or something like that, I don't think you'd use it for that. But if you, this is a whole new set of math. Like I've never seen this math before, Dave. I'm just scared.
I don't know. There's squiggly lines in there. There's like all these squiggly lines. I don't get it.
And it's like, it's not going to be that big a deal. I mean,
no.
But like that's cool. I mean, like that's never happened to me before. I mean, I feel like there's been if you grew up in the 60s and like you came into, like, you started learning how to code and everything else like that, but like that kind of stuff hasn't really happened in my lifetime so far. I mean, like, or in my professional lifetime, I haven't had to like learn some paradigm changing set of math, right? Or like,
right. Yeah.
If tomorrow there was a biological, electrical element, right? And I had to learn about that, right? That kind of thing's never really happened before. It's been more iterative kind of stuff.
Yeah, true.
And so if this is for real.
I can't think of anything.
What, in the amount of time I've been...
In our lifetime. That
even yours too, huh? Because you're old, man.
I'm an old bastard. But offhand, maybe there is, but I can't remember... Yeah,
like at the hardware level,
like
right?
That's the main thing. Change, like not quantum change, quantum small, right? A huge
cosmic change.
Cosmic change.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
I can't remember. If you can think of something that's happened, in the last 25, 30 years, then please.
Yeah, I mean,
let us know. It's an interesting.
Maybe
question.
maybe object-oriented type stuff in your lifetime. I mean, that kind of like abstraction on the software level.
Software. Yeah, the software. Who gives a shit about software? This is an electronics show. I don't care about software.
Yeah, it matters at some levels.
Yeah.
Yeah. It matters in my household. Did I tell you my now wife is learning Python?
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Very exciting.
I'm going to turn her into a nerd yet.
She'll be joining us on the Amp Hour, will she?
Oh, I doubt that, no.
No.
She still thinks we're nerds, don't worry.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, boy.
But yeah, I can't think, I mean, software aside, I mean, I don't know. I mean, like, even if you look at, like, amplifiers, like, op amps go back into the tube days, right? And, silicon is a big deal, right? That was a big deal. Mm-hmm. Maybe, like, silicon carbide or, like, the more exotic kinds of, stuff, but it's not mainstream yet. Where like you or I would even learn that in a university classroom, right?
Yeah.
There's not like an intro class that's like, okay, now we're going to sit down and learn about, the GAN or silicon carbide or anything like that. So, yeah, I don't know. So it could be a big deal. I mean, if it's going to happen this year.
Well, it's got its own component symbol.
That's pretty cool, right?
Yeah.
There's a T-shirt, Dave. Get on it.
Right. Okay. Only those in the know of memristors. I could put the math on there too.
You could, yeah. You need some kind of snarky phrase. And
right.
Yeah, right. Or just be staring at a
T-shirt. You don't even understand your own T-shirt. That's when you're
What does your T-shirt mean? I have no idea.
I have no idea. It's some new technology.
Yeah, right. I got this from HP, I got to say.
Boy. All right.
Yeah.
Done. Our amp power's up. Do we have time for a shonky product or something else? Or
history, maybe? Yeah. How about, here's a nerd history thing that I actually found after I found a different nerd history thing. There's actually a site dedicated to the history of transistors. Speaking of, right? So maybe we could look on here and figure it out. It's kind of a shonking looking site itself, but it's just
it's very HTML. It's very 1990s like. Yep.
But it's interesting because there's a lot of articles about the actual inventors of these one-off parts that I don't think you would have ever learned about otherwise, or maybe I'm more likely it's just I don't know who they are in the industry. They probably are very well known, right? Because they're probably got their names on papers and everything. But yeah, it's really interesting. I got linked here from someone had posted a link. I think it was on Reddit actually.
Yeah, I've been to this site before. Yeah, it's actually a transistor museum.
There's like a physical
semiconductormuseum.com.
There's like a physical museum somewhere?
Yeah, they've got. Well, if you scroll down, there's Transistor Museum donations. People have donated old transistors to this Transistor Museum.
Huh. I mean, it could just be that the guy running the site in his basement, though, to be honest.
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah,
I think that's different than like the Computer History Museum, right? Yeah.
Not the scale of the Computer History Museum.
Right. But still, pretty cool.
Yeah.
Wonder if any of these parts are like radioactive or something.
They've got a 555 there. They've got a 1971 vintage donated by Hans himself.
Right, and that's how I got to the site. There's another great thing about this is there's oral histories throughout this, right? So basically they called these guys up and they did oral histories with them, and it was interesting because me and Jared actually talked about doing something similar to this at one point.
Yeah, so I've thought about it as well. Yeah,
I mean, there's just a lot of guys retiring and stuff like that, and you don't want to lose it. So it's great. It's fun to look through, and the audio quality is, I'm kind of a snob, but
right. It's
even though I shouldn't be because
I
really suck at audio lately, but we're getting a little better.
So it's a Skype-y quality, is it?
Yeah, Skype or like a tape deck, even that kind of thing. Transferred.
Right, okay.
So, but yeah, it's great. So I highly recommend people go there and check it out. And there's a lot of and even companies don't exist today. I mean, National Union, I think they got swallowed up, and a lot of different. Texas Instruments is still around, obviously. Raytheon is still around, but they're doing less hardware, or do they do more military hardware?
They're all military. Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, it's really cool, I think. So check it out.
Awesome. I'm going to throw in a shonky product of the week because it's been on here forever. We'll just piss it off the list.
Up. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
It is the winner this week is the Amperlizer.
Amperlizer.
It's a capacitor in a box, folks. We'll save you the. Anyway, watch the video. It's a very commercial sort of TV, almost like TV ad kind of thing.
Yeah, it's got like royalty-free music in the background,
and it's just $15 a month, folks. You can't buy this thing outright. They will lease you this box.
Yeah,
and of course, as you can guess, it's one of these power factor correction boxes, and you stick it on your wall next to your power box, and it's a big capacitor, and it supposedly saves you money.
And we should explain why that's supposed to save you money. Now, if you were actually had a high power factor, right? Is that the right term?
Low power factor.
A low power factor, right? So
yes.
you want a power factor of 1.
Anything other than 1.
Right, you want 1. So if you start moving away from that, your apparent power is different than your Oh, I need to restudy my FE book.
Anyways,
you get charged more.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, not in Australia we don't. I believe we don't get charged for apparent power. Only commercial companies get charged for apparent power. So
right.
It's free.
So you don't need this, but maybe it's all those pool owners in the U.S. That's who they advertise to.
Yeah.
Those pumps are so expensive. Yeah. It's shonky to the max. I mean, a bank of capacitors could be good if you had like huge inductive motors running in your facility, right?
Yeah.
And you were being charged for it, but more than likely paying $15 a month is just donating to a company that needs to pay for some better music.
So,
much like us. I mean, if people want to give us money, we need better music.
They take what's real, they take a real engineering concept and a real problem, and they think that they can apply that solution to, something else, and it doesn't actually work. So, this apparent power thing is a real problem. But generally, it's only applicable to big commercial companies with big installations. So, yep.
Yeah,
and you can buy these ones that plug into a PowerPoint. Of course, this is quite a big one. It's a big box you mount on your wall near your switchboard. So this is actually, so this might do a little bit. But you can actually buy these commercial ones which just plug into your PowerPoint, and it's and they've got a tiny little capacitor in them. And oh boy. They're magic things, capacitors, aren't they? They can give you free energy. They can improve the fuel efficiency of your car. They can lower your energy bill. They can...
Apparently, according to this video, too, they can save me the kilowatts.
No pun intended. Sorry.
The kilowatts, as they kept saying in there.
The kilowatts. Yeah.
Yeah. You got to save the kilowatts.
Yep. It's all about the kilowatts. And they've got some funky graphics of how the electricity flows down the line from your power pole. And, Anyway.
Yes.
And they've had, apparently, they, I think, might even be actively taking down people who have posted this video on YouTube. Because we had a link that was before, several weeks ago, that was shut down. So,
yeah,
they might be clamping down. Anyway,
watch out.
I didn't even know if it's still available. Maybe they have gone bust. But anyway, it's funny.
Yeah.
Give it a big thumbs down, folks, when you view the video.
So that's all of our amp hour, huh, Dave?
Yeah, it's all gone. But if we had a capacitor... we could magically get 10%. Extra capacity.
We could get 10% extra capacity, yeah.
Easy. For just $14.95 a month. Who do we write out the check to?
Chris Gamble.
Right. Oh, boy.
Yeah.
We're way over. See you next week.
Yeah, see you next week. You can't connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect them looking back. Thanks, Steve.